Well, most church members don't know anything about evangelism. And if they do, they regard it as a sort of special thing which belongs to strange creatures called evangelists or the occasional pastor. And evangelism just simply means spilling over with good news. It is it's overflow. And if you're full of Jesus Christ, it's going to bubble out in how you behave. So I think the big thing that is necessary in a church is to get the church alive and warm and people thrilled with Jesus Christ. And when they are, they will quite naturally want to talk about him. And it's actually very easy to do. I was in a jeweller's shop on Friday, and was getting something. My wife and I have a 60th anniversary of our wedding on Saturday. So I was getting something and chatting to the manageress, and I saw that she'd got a cross round her neck. And so I said, "Are you a Christian?" And she said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Tell me more." And it discovered that we'd got youth workers in common and things like that. And then I turned to the assistant and I said, "Are you a believer as well?" "Well, and so it's very, very easy to start talking about Jesus. Perfectly naturally, we're making a purchase in a shop. So I think this demystifying of evangelism is a very important thing in churches, that they don't feel that this is a special technique for special people. It's just passing on good news. And when little Johnny scores 3 goals at school and runs back home, he's full of good news. It may be a cool world these days, but he's not cool at all. He's absolutely tickle pink, and it spills out to mum and dad. Now, that is the pattern of evangelism that you find, I think, in the New Testament and in many growing churches. Let me give you an example. Mongolia has been without Christian faith for hundreds of years, till about 1995. And then I think 5 people went there from different countries, actually. One from the States, one from England, one from Australia. And these were missionaries, and they started off and they led 1-2 people to faith. And then suddenly it began to take off. But to their dismay, they discovered that when these people had come to faith, they all disappeared. And so they thought, goodness me, what's happened? And they found that it's a very nomadic society. They had gone back to their homes, to their extended families, to tell other people what they had discovered. They became evangelists. They hardly knew anything themselves, but they wanted to pass on what they did know. So I think naturalness and overflow are 2 things that are pretty important in an ordinary congregation. I think a third thing is this, that congregations need to learn that it's everybody's job. It is not the job just of the pastor. When you come to think of it, the pastor is running a small business, and he is not in touch with the outside world very much. He's largely involved with church people and church events. So even if he is an evangelist, he's got to really carve out time to do it. But if he can mobilize the congregation to realize that it's their job to be Jesus ambassadors by their lifestyle, by their hospitality, by their warmth, by their interest in other people, by their naturalness, and by slipping Jesus into the conversation and seeing where that goes. If you can do that, then the church is going to grow. So it really is everybody's business. Now, not everybody's a preacher, God forbid. Wouldn't it be a shambles if everybody was a preacher? They don't like preachers anyway. Don't you preach to me? If everybody was a preacher, it would be absolute the end of Christianity in this country. But we're not all called to be preachers. There's a wonderful image in the New Testament of us being limbs in the body of Christ, and we're all different limbs with different functions. But what every Christian can say is, I have found They can say, what I have found, what Jesus Christ has done for me. They don't need a book to do this. They don't need special language. They don't need training. They just need to have experienced Christ and to tell somebody else what they have experienced. So I think these are the things really that are needed in a congregation. And then, of course, if the pastor knows what he's doing, or if he's got people who do know what they're doing, then a training course in how to move from testimony to explaining the way to faith, that will be a good thing to do.